Part 50. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 491. Chapter 491. Father and son fight each other. Goosey I heard the news just after dinner. The suspects who deliberately attacked the world and caused countless casualties confessed to the crime. They held a secret trial, pronounced the sentence, and immediately executed the death penalty. As soon as this news came out, some people on the internet the voices finally subsided, and Luz Iwan's fans were even more happy and wished they could kill the suspects themselves. When this news came out, it was a bit explosive. Goosey I just watched the situation develop. This was something they could not control. It involved too many areas. Luz Iwan asked Goosey, "It's really a verdict? This is the first time I'm moved by the efficiency of the court." Goosey knew that his dog's mouth couldn't spit out ivory, so he endured it. After all, his own son couldn't beat him, so he could only listen to his ridicule. It should be a sentence, but I don't know if he can make a deal. If you kill them rashly, one party will inevitably explode. It costs a lot to train such a warrior from childhood to adulthood. They are loyal and have outstanding abilities. Each one of them is a huge wealth. Goosey I is quite sensitive to these things, probably because of her career in the Udeo, ZIU, but recently her mind has been on research. The father and son chatted about the situation, and Goosey I checked Luz Iwan's injury. Although it was not completely healed, aspirating bone marrow should not be a problem. She went upstairs to discuss it with the dean, and Goosey said sympathetically, "Dad, you are a research subject. The darkroom was originally a laboratory, but now it is worthy of its name. You have really become a guinea pig, and your injuries are not healed yet." Luz Iwan's wound was about to be drained by Goosey I before the stitches were removed. Theoretically, it would take a month. Goosey I couldn't wait any longer. Luz Iwan said calmly, "Son, you are a bit naive." Goosey raised his eyebrows, spread his hands and said, "What does it have to do with me? Why are you attacking me personally? I smoked, can you run away? Why do I smoke it too? Doesn't mom want to smoke yours for research? What does this have to do with me?" Luz Iwan smiled and said nothing. "It seems that Goosey I hasn't told you yet. When it comes to this matter, you still have to dig your own holes. Since you wanted to donate blood to heal me, and you are so filial," Goosey I suddenly had a whim. "Maybe what is the connection between my genes and mine, so what she wants to study is not my superpower, but the connection between us. If you can cure me, tool man, just accept it?" Goosey's eyes widened. Luz Iwan said sarcastically, "A real man, just extract some bone marrow, don't be afraid." Goosey put his hands on his hips angrily, "That's unreasonable. There is no equipment at home. Luz Iwan has to go out to extract bone marrow. Otherwise, the equipment must be moved to his home." Goosey I and the dean discussed whether they could order a machine to be brought to their home to facilitate her research. Luz Iwan couldn't go out and was too high profile, so he could only buy a machine. It was also difficult to transport such a machine in easily, and it was not available at the moment. It was just that all major hospitals had it, and Nanjing Hospital happened to have an old one. The machine had just been replaced last week, and Goosey I wanted to get it so that Luz Iwan and Goosey wouldn't have to go to the hospital. This is a very good hospital. It was no problem for Goosey I to get a piece of equipment. The director quickly approved it. When Goosey I went to work the next day, she checked the machine specially. A doctor from the emergency room even asked her why she wanted to move home. Goosey I said, "I have set up a laboratory at home, but I just need a machine." Several emergency room doctors had been to Goosey's home and knew that she had a laboratory at home. She did research at home and she also had some scientific research topics to do. They quickly dispelled their doubts that such a piece of equipment could be transported to her home. They just envy Gusi's interpersonal relationships. When Gusi got off work, she passed by Universal. After thinking about her character, she stopped downstairs and asked Li Zhang to come down to pick her up. Li Zhang was surprised. "Miss Gusi, why are you here?" Gusi said, "I love Lu Ziwen very much. His life or death is uncertain. Apart from asking for leave, I go to work as usual. Don't you think it's suspicious?" Li Zhang understood it as soon as he thought about it. Miss Gusi is still thoughtful. He took Gusi upstairs. Ji Sun and Rong Li were both busy, and Gusi didn't bother them. Black Eagle's efficiency was amazing, that's all. Within a day, the place where the explosion occurred had been repaired. Except for the injured, everything was basically back to normal. The whole building was brightly lit, and it seemed that there was no explosion. It was handled perfectly. Gusi went up to the top floor and said, "Li Zhang, go and do your work and leave me alone." "Miss Gusi, how is Third Master's injury?" Li Zhang asked. "This is the first time in so many years that I have been away from Third Master for more than 2 days, and I'm a little uncomfortable with it. The guards are inseparable. It's very good if you eat well and sleep well, you will be able to take care of yourself." Rong Li is looking for someone in such a high-profile manner. How will it end? Ji Xian and Rong Li should have their own strategies tomorrow. The presidents of several major Black Hawk regions will come to Global for a meeting. Those who come here are not malicious. Li Zhang revealed the news about Black Hawk. Want to seize power? They have been sidelined by the Third Master and Ji Xian in recent years, and their power has been reduced a lot. The Third Master and Ji Sun have defeated each other individually and divided their power, but if they unite, they cannot be underestimated. Ji Sun has accumulated a lot of experience in the past few years. The reason for the increasing power is that the Third Master is standing behind them. The Third Master they are most afraid of is the Third Master, not Ji Sun. Now that the Third Master is alive and dead, they will definitely make things difficult for Ji Sun. Even if they cannot force Ji Sun to step down, they still want to decentralize power. Li Zhang said, "It depends on how Ji Xian handles it." Gusi is not unfamiliar with this situation, and can understand that if one day Zhang Junlin has an accident and her life or death is unknown, she will also face the dilemma of being deprived of power and forced to step down. In the past few years, Zhang Junlin has intentionally or unintentionally allowed her to infiltrate the core of the Jida, and emphasized that she is a member of the Zhang family, just to prevent this. When Zhang Junlin's status is not worried, she wants to be an invisible person, but if there is one day something happened to Zhang Junlin, and she had to stand up and handle the situation. I believe Ji Sun can handle it well without the Third Master. Gusi calculated the time and found that it was almost time. She was ready to leave. Li Zhang originally wanted to bring her some things that the Third Master often used, but Gusi was afraid of attracting people. "Attention, no need, I have locked him up, and there are things he needs at home." Jiang. He almost forgot about this. After Gusi left, she paid special attention to see if anyone was following her. This was the peak period and it was difficult to identify, so it was always best to be careful. Guzi was very worried when he knew that he was going to have his bone marrow extracted. "Does it hurt to have my bone marrow extracted?" Gusi said, "It won't hurt. I'll give you an anesthetic. With such a big pipe, it pierces my bones and my marrow. Doesn't it really hurt?" Guzi was not afraid of pain, but the thought of digging a hole and almost burying himself made him very depressed. "It really doesn't hurt, Mom promises." Lu Ziwen couldn't stand the little green tea's performance. "Guzi, are you weaned? You are still acting like a baby with your mother, and you can't bear the slightest pain. Are you a man?" End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 492. Chapter 492. Killing someone with a borrowed knife. Guzi also has a temper, Dad, the tool man plans to work the night shift starting tomorrow. Lu Ziwen was able to bend and stretch. Son, Dad is wrong. Humph, Gu Ziu snorted coldly and ran back to the bedroom. Gu Ci looked at Lu Ziwen calmly. Why did you provoke him? You are a bit biased. When will I provoke him? Lu Ziwen said. It's obviously him who provokes me. Gu Ci said, you have always taken the initiative to provoke him. Just as Lu Ziwen was about to defend himself, there was a sound prompt from the computer. He turned back to process the information. It was the message from Ji Xian. Rong Li had been looking for news about Lu Ziwen, but he had actually not missed Tang Mingzhu's whereabouts. Lu Ziwen and Zhang Junlin had the same idea. In order to reduce trouble, they both wanted to kill Tang Mingzhu. Lu Ziwen left Chen Lianzhu alone, so he asked Rong Li to keep an eye on him. After he entered Qiuan, Rong Li sent people to guard outside Qiuan. That day he followed the ambulance all the time, so he got the news about Tang Mingzhu. Third Master, what should we do? Kill him, but let's not do it, Lu Ziwen said calmly. Reveal the news to Zhang Junlin and let him do it. Yes. This matter is simple. Rong Li asked Ji Sun to reveal the news to Zhang Junlin. Killing someone with a borrowed knife? Lu Ziwen's eyebrows darkened slightly. Tang Mingzhu had no use value at all. Chen Lianzhu was still willing to go through all the trouble to save him. He really didn't understand why he saved Tang Mingzhu but not Chen Rishi. Chen Rishi is his sharpest knife and a branch of the Chen family. He has been supporting Chen Rishi from behind for so many years. If Chen Rishi died, his many years of planning would come to nothing, so why did he choose Tang Mingzhu? Lu Ziwen was tired of scheming with them. In the face of absolute strength, there was no conspiracy. He had killed 100 of them, so there was no need to worry about Tang Mingzhu anymore. After Ji Huan revealed the news to Zhang Junlin knew that Lu Ziwen wanted to borrow a knife to kill people. It was indeed inconvenient for Black Eagle to come forward, so Zhang Junlin asked Qin Wan to take someone to deal with it. Gu Ci knew about Zhang Junlin's actions, and she was also worried about success or failure. She stayed up all night and came down to play chess with Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen had been at home all day and had taken a nap. He was in good spirits and played chess with Gu Ci. He looked at Gu Ci's dark circles and asked sadly, you have to work in the emergency room during the day and can't sleep well at night. Can you concentrate? I'm on leave, Gu Ci said. Nanjing is a very good hospital, and I can arrange my time flexibly. You have been in the emergency room for a while and have accumulated enough experience. When will you be transferred to a specialist department? Lu Ziwen asked. The work in the emergency room was intensive and complicated. Gu Ci did not need to go to the emergency room, but that was the best way to gain experience. It will take another month, Gu Ci said. I have already calculated it. Normal rotation may take several years. Are you doing both subjects? Gu Ci nodded, but it might be difficult for her to get a specialist number. If it wasn't a difficult or complicated disease, she might not need to step forward. Gu Ci was well known in the industry and had performed several beautiful surgeries in the emergency room. Lu Ziwen didn't want her to take on two roles, but he couldn't convince her, and he understood that Zhang Junlin's burden needed to be shared by one person, and it could only be Gu Ci. It was a pity for Gu Ci to give up his identity as a doctor. The two of them were drinking tea and playing chess. Unexpectedly, Nanjing Hospital called Gu Ci. A special patient came to the emergency room. She had undergone heart surgery before, and she hoped she could come. Chen Rishi was admitted to the hospital due to heart problems. Chen Rishi, Lu Ziwen narrowed his eyes. By coincidence, as soon as the news about Tang Mingzhu was found, something happened to Chen Rishi. I know his case well, I'll go there. Gu Ci packed her things and went to the hospital. Gu Ci and Gu Ziu went to the hospital together, and Chen Liangdong was also there. I suddenly felt unwell in the evening, so we rushed to the hospital. We were afraid of the same situation as Tang Mingzhou. The security was very tight, and the journey was smooth and there was no danger, Chen Liangdong explained. Gu Xi nodded and took Chen Rishi's case. Chen Rishi suddenly suffered from heart disease and fell into a severe coma. Save, or not save, Gu Xi asked Chen Liangdong. Help, he is different from Tang Mingzhou, Chen Liangdong said in a deep voice. There were still many things about Chen Rishi that had not been explained clearly. Okay, I'll try my best. Gu Xi saved Chen Rishi once and regretted it very much. When she was in Wujiazhu, she thought that if she had not saved Chen Rishi, there wouldn't be so many things. Now she is facing the same choice. She is a doctor. But she is not just a doctor who treats illnesses and saves lives. Chen Rishi's heart disease was originally a difficult and rare case. It was a miracle that it was successful back then, so this time it was still Gu Xi who came to treat it. Gu Xi leaned against the wall very unhappy. I disturbed my mother's sleep in the middle of the night, just because of him. He deserves it. Chen Liangdong touched the young man's head and said, he is from country M. Someone has come to negotiate and wants to extradite him back to the country. He cannot die in prison, as it will cause a lot of trouble and criticism. His status is special and different from Tang Mingzhou, who was born and raised in Tang Mingzhou. I know, how could Gu Xi not know that Chen Rishi was determined to kill this point and did not explain anything, but pushed it to Tang Mingzhou. The alliance between the two is not that solid either. This night was destined to be restless. Lu Ziwen stayed up all night, waiting for the result. This is a game and a trade-off. At dawn, news came from Ji Huan first. Tang Mingzhou was dead, but Jidao also suffered heavy losses. The most terrifying thing was that this seemed to be a game, and Black Eagle was also involved. Ji Sun said, the news I gave to Zhang Junlin is true, but Tang Mingzhou had already laid a dragnet. Before he died, Tang Mingzhou said that he had contacted us proactively and wanted to ask the third master to meet. We agreed to meet and then turned around and sold the news. I wanted to kill two birds with one stone by giving it to Zhang Junlin, and even used a divorce plan before he died. Lu Ziwen frowned. Did Jidao suffer heavy losses? 4 people died. Ji Sun's tone was a little heavy. I understand, Lu Ziwen said, you and Zhang Junlin explain it clearly. Good. After hanging up the phone, Lu Ziwen pondered, so Tang Mingzhou was just a cover from the beginning to the end. Chen Lianzhu had actually given up on him, but Tang Mingzhou had to die with value. He would use Tang Mingzhou's death to drive a wedge between Black Eagle and Jidao. A person hides behind his back, has sharp minions, and is the most terrifying strategist. He is invisible from beginning to end, but he has a way to achieve what he wants. He supports Chen Rishi and Tang Mingzhou, and wants to dismantle Black Eagle. 5 years ago, he wanted to achieve the ultimate goal. His purpose remains the same. Throughout his secret, he just wanted Lu Ziwen to come to him. Chen Lianzhu had much greater power in the institute than Chen Liangdong, and he had the final say. Lu Ziwen didn't find him for a long time, forcing Chen Lianzhu to take the initiative. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 493. Chapter 493. Sharp-tongued and sharp-tongued Gu Ziyu. After Chen Liangdong learned that Chen Rishi's operation was successful, he took Gu Ziyu to Lao Chen's house. He has been away from his old home for many years. He has basically cut off from Chen Lianzhu and is selfless in his work. Chen Liangdong refused many times that Chen Lianzhu wanted to talk to him. But in the eyes of outsiders, even if they are not harmonious, they are still brothers from the same mother, and both of them will have some conveniences in their respective fields. No matter what the conflicts were, Chen Liangdong always came to Chen Lianzhu alone, and this time he brought Gu Zia with him for the first time. I was angry early in the morning. If you have anything to do, let's talk about it after breakfast. Chen Lianzhu was very calm. Chen Yang also respectfully called his second uncle and pulled out a chair for him. Did you do what happened to Tang Mingzhou? Chen Liangdong asked, disappointed and angry. Do you know that you broke the law? Tang Mingzhou is a death row prisoner, how dare you touch him? Since you are a death row prisoner, you are not necessarily so anxious. Chen Lianzhu peeled the egg slowly. It is inappropriate for you to ask a child to come and observe our family's private affairs, isn't it? Chen Yang said with a smile, children, they want to talk about something private, let's go for a walk. No need, he stayed. Chen Liangdong said in a deep voice, I brought my son here specifically to be a witness. Brother, what happened to Tang Mingzhou was not your fault. 4 people from the Jidao died. Are you crazy? I only revealed the information about Tang Mingzhou to Black Eagle. My target is also Lu Ziwen. This is the decision of the Institute. Although Black Eagle announced that Lu Ziwen is missing, I don't believe that he must be hiding safely in a corner. Black Eagle's people were stationed outside the National Security Bureau because they wanted to kill Tang Mingzhou. I followed the trend and targeted him. But they gave the news to Zhang Junlin. How did I know that it would be Zhang Junlin's people? Black Eagle borrowed a knife to kill someone. Why did he blame me? The boss, Chen Lianzhu said, all my actions are in compliance with the procedures. If you don't believe it, go check it out. If you tell these nonsense, will I believe you? Then go and investigate. Chen Lianzhu slapped the table. You turned a blind eye to Tang Mingzhou's death because of Gu Ziyu. Have you done your duty? Personal feelings have affected your judgment. What? The most important thing is to keep Lu Ziwen from falling into country M and come to the Institute obediently. This is the most important thing. You are putting the cart before the horse. Lu Ziwen has promised to cooperate with the Institute. Why do you have to be aggressive? Gu Ziyu was unhappy. Children, don't interrupt when adults are talking. Chen Lianzhu frowned. Because of you, he has too much personal feelings and can no longer see the overall situation clearly in the whole matter. Bullshit, the overall situation. What you call the overall situation is a global explosion, with countless casualties and innocent people losing their lives. Your overall situation is that the Yakuza loses 4 people. Do you know how difficult it is to train 4 people? You sit in the office all year round and give orders. One decision is, do you know what dangers they face when talking about words? If your overall goal is to trample on so many innocent lives, are you worthy of your hat? They are also other people's sons. Husband, you have such a big picture, why don't you let your son die? Gu Ziyu's sharp words came out of his mouth in an instant. If Chen Liangdong hadn't stopped him, he would have wanted to roll up his sleeves and start a fight without respecting the elderly. Chen Lianzhu laughed angrily and pointed at Gu Ziyu. Chen Liangdong, this is the child you raised, and his temper is exactly the same as when you were a child. The only one to blame for this is Lu Ziwen. Also, we are not responsible for the attack on Universal. I don't know, we are more indignant than you when something like this happens. Who wants to see the scene happen in our most prosperous city? What's wrong with Lu Ziwen? He was arrested and studied. What's wrong with him for having a physical change? He doesn't want to enter the institute just because there are such evil-hearted people like you. He's afraid that if he goes in, he won't be able to get out. Gu Ziyu said with a cold face, don't act so righteous, the overall situation is for the better. You look so heavy, you really think I'm a 10-year-old child? I can't understand your tricks. You want the Yakuza, you want the Black Hawk. They have developed peacefully in the past 5 years, and they have cooperated more and more. You are anxious, leave you. Your goal is getting further and further away, so you drive a wedge between Black Eagle and Jidao, and want them to kill each other, and you reap the benefits. 5 years ago, Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen did not die in Wujiazhu, which was the biggest factor in your decision-making. Miscalculation, who did you deceive? You keep talking about the big picture. You're an interesting kid. What's your relationship with Lu Ziwen? Why do you want to defend him so much? In the past 5 years, you have gone to Universal every weekend. You went to the amusement park together, went fishing together, played football together, and painted together. Your Lu Ziwen is an undercover agent assigned to the National Security Bureau, right? Chen Liangzhi said, I have warned you long ago, Chen Liangdong, that this child cannot be kept. It doesn't matter whether he is an enemy or a friend. You must insist on cultivating him. Before Chen Liangdong could defend himself, Gu Ziu sneered, if I am Lu Ziwen's undercover, you go check the evidence. Gu Si and I have a close relationship. He is Gu Si's boyfriend. The old man letting me stay with Lu Ziwen is also monitoring him. There is also an archive, go and read it. Why don't you train me to train your incompetent son? He still wanted to see Kuowen, but he was rejected by me in the first round. I don't discriminate against graduate students, but I have to sit down. In my place, you should get a PhD and you want to replace me with your master's degree. Why do you think you are so beautiful? Everybody. Chen Liangdong coughed. He was originally angry, but Gu Ziu couldn't stop him. You have sharp teeth and a sharp tongue. How great is it that you have 2 PhD degrees? 4. Gu Ziu put his hands on his hips and gestured with 4 fingers, I still have 2 PhDs in the pipeline, which is great. If you go and study, you will overthrow me because of your relationship. Why? Chen Liangdong came to his senses and realized that Gu Ziu was not a person who lost control of his emotions. He was actually very calm. But he also tasted it. 12 or 13-year-old children are high-spirited and proud of heaven. It is normal for them to lose their temper when they encounter grievances and setbacks. This is the normal impression others have of teenage children. Well done. The play was performed, and the words were spoken happily. Stop the quarrel, Chen Liangzhi said angrily. Chen Liangdong, you brought an uneducated child to your house early in the morning and yelled at me. Do you still think of me as a big brother? Brother, enough is enough. You can see your plan. Do you think Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen can't see it? If the Jida and Black Eagle really want to join forces, will you have a good life? Zhang Junlin's Jida is slowly improving. If you want to systematically work in the field, stop being delusional. He has promised to cooperate with Lu Ziwen. If you make such a fuss now, will he still cooperate? If it were me, I would be afraid that he would be dissected if he fell into the institute. Everything will turn against you. It is not yours, and it will never be yours. I will say this. I hope you can take care of yourself. It is not easy for the Chen family to get to where it is today. Don't let it be ruined just because of you. How much is 8,000 today? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 494. Chapter 494 Father and Son Game. Chen Liangzhi was destined to not be able to eat this breakfast well, and his blood pressure was so angry that Chen Yang found him anti-hypertensive medicine. Chen Liangdong was also afraid that something might really go wrong with him and came to help him. Gu Ziu thought to himself, no wonder the old man is not easy to deal with. Where is the porcelain? I don't have much money in my pocket. Who dares to argue with the old man? I am so angry when I am Penkai. After taking the anti-hypertensive medicine, Chen Liangzhi was in a better state. He pushed Chen Liangdong away and said, I have eaten everything inside and outside. In the past 10 years, it's okay if I don't help the Chen family. I have to hold back. If I had known, I shouldn't have helped you. Let me teach you a lesson and take off your skin, you are so ungrateful. Brother, I am saving the Chen family. How long will you continue to be obsessed with it? Considering the relationship between Gu Ziyu and Zhang Junlin, why do you have to be like Zhang Junlin and control the Jida? What do you want to do? It's up to you. You have the capacity, everyone is kind, and as long as it does not harm the public interest, no one will refuse. Unless you are selfish and only want to use public equipment for private use, you can only have a chance of survival. Are you going to drag the entire Chen family into the water? Second uncle, I have always respected you. I don't want to say anything more about you and my dad, but what you said is too much. Everything Dad did was for the old Chen family, and you are also a member of the old Chen family. But what have you done? Chen Yang said, you think I am incompetent and don't want to support me. Okay, I admit it. It's my lack of ability, but we are a family with broken bones and connected tendons. How can you unite with outsiders? To deal with the family. If you don't do anything illegal, no one will touch you. Tang Ming's death also killed innocent people. This is a blood debt, and Zhang Junlin will repay it. Do you think this can be a good thing? Chen Liangdong was so angry that his chest was filled with anger. Ups and downs, if I really wanted to harm you, I would not have brought Gu Ziyi to the door today, but directly led a team of people to the door. Please go over and ask questions. Brother, don't make the same mistake again and again. Chen Liangdong, you. Chen Lianja stroked his chest and calmed down. How many times have I told you that our actions complied with regulations and were approved by the Institute? Research Institute, didn't you have the final say? Chen Liangdong asked sadly, since you have sworn your word, do you dare to accept the investigation? I will investigate this matter with full authority and give the Jida an explanation. You dare? Second uncle, we are a family. We don't talk about the two families. Don't be impulsive. If you want to blame Black Eagle for leaking the news to the Jida. Our target is Lu Ziwen. Who knows if someone from the Jida comes here, we don't want to so. You don't want this to happen, can you just let it go with just one sentence? Since you found out that it was a Yakuza person and our comrade in arms, why did you still shoot? Didn't you consider the consequences and impact before making the plan? Isn't there a prevention mechanism, Chen Liangdong? He said in a deep voice, you must give an explanation to Zhang Junlin about this matter. There is no other way. Brother, I brought you here today to advise you. I want to point you out a way. You should also understand the importance. If you completely understand the extreme, if Tao is pushed to your enemy, the glory of the old Chen family you always want will be over. Chen Lianji's face was dark. Chen Liangdong took Gu Ziyu away, his chest heaving with anger. Gu Ziyu sighed, let's go, I'm a little hungry too, let's have some breakfast. They stayed up all night and were hungry and tired. Chen Liangdong took Gu Ziyu to a pancake shop for breakfast. Gu Ziyi made breakfast for Gu Ziyu at home, which was mostly light. Gu Ziyu actually had a very strong taste and was very tired in the morning. I like greasy breakfasts such as xiaolong bao, pan-fried buns, and fried noodles. 3 or 2 pan-fried buns can be eaten by one person. Paired with a bowl of duck blood vermicelli soup, I will be full of energy in the morning. Old man, your brother is determined to have his own way. It's not like he can listen to advice. My uncle's temper is really bad. I'm holding my breath on this matter, Gu Ziyu said. If he can't come up with a proper solution, I'm really worried that there will be a conflict. Chen Liangdong didn't know, he was also worried. Zhang Junlin never contacted him actively after the accident. Chen Liangdong knew that there was no way to change the matter. Fortunately, Tang Mingzhou died, and the mission was completed, but the price was too high. He also felt very sorry in his heart. No wonder Zhang Junlin was angry. Soldiers can die on the battlefield to defend their homeland, but they must not die from internal strife. This is a tragedy. His original goal was probably Black Eagle, who wanted to force Lu Ziwen out. Who knew that Black Eagle didn't take the bait and borrowed a knife to kill people, leaving Zhang Junlin to die. Chen Lianzhu found out that he was Zhang Junlin's man, and he could have prevented this tragedy, but he used his trick instead. It's really vicious to drive a wedge between them. Are he and you really the same mother? Are you a picked-up child? Gu Ziyu couldn't help complaining. He really couldn't see Chen Liangdong being dragged down by his relatives. Little brat, what are you talking about? Chen Liangdong laughed and scolded, feeling a little frustrated. Kindness is destined. You can control your own destiny throughout your life, but you can't control who God arranges to be your family. What makes Chen Liangdong feel complicated is that this is his brother from the same mother, and he has taken good care of him and loved him very much since he was a child. When he was young, he had a stubborn temper and was a troublemaker. It was Chen Lianzhu who cleaned up the mess behind his back. They were respectful brothers. They grew up together, and Chen Lianzhu even saved his life. Later, they parted ways because they took two different paths. But he remembered this friendship. There are a few people in this world who can kill relatives with righteousness. Chen Liangdong wanted to give the Jida an explanation. Otherwise, if he waited for Zhang Junlin to take action himself, he would really be in trouble and get out of control, but his brother couldn't listen to the advice. He just relies on his reputation as a master, and no one can touch him. The research institute has a mission and an order. The tragedy can only be caused by a combination of circumstances. He is indeed a well-known teacher. Zhang Junlin has not said a word yet, but he knows it very well. Without conclusive evidence, there is no way to move at all. Chen Lianzhu, his status is impregnable. Chen Liangdong was annoyed, but he still had to continue his work. He made an appointment with Zhang Junlin to meet at noon. Zhang Junlin didn't refuse. Gu Ziyu said, "I'll go with you. You stayed up all night and went home to sleep. I have to rest after our talk with Zhang Junlin. I'm getting too old and can't bear it." "Okay, uncle must be very angry, please be patient." Who wouldn't be angry? When Gu Ziyu returned to Lanshan Villa, Gu Si also came back. She received news from Dr. North on the way. Knowing that the loss was heavy, she felt extremely heavy. Gu Ziyu entered the house with her. "Mom, I'm busy. One night, take a hot bath and go to bed early. I'll bring breakfast for you and Dad." "Where have you been?" "I went to do something with the old man." Gu Si also understood and didn't ask any more questions. Gu Ziyu looked at her mother's tired face with distress. She was really sleep-deprived and had been spinning around lately. After Gu Si went to take a shower, Gu Ziyu took down the breakfast and said, "Dad, you are like a freeloader, doing nothing at home every day and letting your wife go out to do hard work to support you." Lu Ziwen couldn't laugh or cry. "I've lived here for so long and this is the first time I've eaten breakfast bought by you. There's no need to be so angry, right? And breakfast is always greasy. It's good to eat whatever you have, and you're not allowed to choose." Gu Ziyu's tolerance for picky eaters is still very high. After all, with Zhang Junlin like a ceiling, his patience is very good. "I won't pick. Who did you and Chen Liangdong go to?" "How do you know?" Gu Ziyu frowned. "Are you spying on me?" "I said it was a coincidence. Do you believe it?" Lu Ziwen said. "Wrongly went out to do something and happened to see you and Chen Liangdong." "Gu Ziyu, what a coincidence." "It's such a coincidence. Come on, let's talk about business. Did Chen Lianzhu do it?" End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 495. Chapter 495. Everyone has a secret. Gu Ziyu didn't hide anything from him and told him everything. He didn't tell Gu Si because he felt that Gu Si was already tired after staying up all night for surgery and there was no need to suffer anymore. There was no concealment from Lu Ziwen. This incident also happened because Lu Ziwen borrowed a knife to kill someone. You are a little angry if you blame me for this. Are you not so irrational? Lu Ziwen looked solemn. The Jida suffered heavy losses, and I regret it. It was a tacit understanding between Zhang Junlin and I to let the Jida people go. If otherwise, he wouldn't have sent anyone. The source of this matter is my superpower and Zhang Junlin's ultimate power. They are really crazy. Can't we discuss it after discussing it? After the accident, my uncle didn't say a word to me, nor did he talk to the old man on the phone. He didn't pay attention to anyone. I think he must be very angry. Lu Ziwen thought that Zhang Junlin was not angry, but self-blame and disappointed. This matter is very frustrating. Neither he nor Zhang Junlin can touch Chen Lianzhu. Dad, how should we deal with this matter? Gu Ziyu asked. If you were me, what would you do? When will it be your turn to make the decision in Qiuan? Lu Ziwen flicked his forehead. Chen Liangdong will take care of it. Just follow his instructions. The child is not sitting firmly, so don't be too rash. But the old man is Chen Lianzhu's younger brother after all. With my uncle's temper, I'm afraid that their talk will break down when they meet at night. I can't collapse. It's not like a 3-year-old child playing house. They have clearly identified the priorities. You don't have to worry so much, Lu Ziwen said. I am still missing. It would be best for Zhang Junlin to hand me over to the research institute at the moment. Choice. Then will you go? Originally I promised to give them bone marrow, but now Chen Lianzhu has the final say over the entire institute. If I go in, will it come out? Lu Ziwen smiled slowly. Yes, he regretted it. Gu Ziyu felt heavy, but if you don't go, Mom will give the bone marrow to the research institute, and nothing will be researched. They can just say that Mom lied to them, and they must ask you to come in person. Lu Ziwen nodded. That's right. It's really annoying, Gu Ziyu said. It's all Tang Ming's fault. He should be whipped even if he dies. You're so young, you look like you have a weak kidney. Go to bed quickly. Who can you beat? You have a weak kidney. Gu Ziyu clenched his fists and showed off his biceps. I am a man with muscles. Lu Ziwen was almost amused by him, while Ziyu became more and more cheerful. What beautiful muscles, train hard. You can only train muscles after all. This is a technical position, and he does not need his good skills. He left here for a few days, and Gu Ziyu went to work on time, not even early. Got up and exercised. Who do you look down on? Leave a lot of things to your team. You don't have to keep an eye on every case. If I were you, I would ask Zhang Junlin to arrange for you to go to Jidao for training. In Chen Liangdong's position, it is useless to just study. You must practice. Lu Ziwen said, put you at the grassroots level to train for a few years, and then train for a few more years. In 5 or 6 years, you will be an adult and have changed your body. Why start enslaving you now? This was the first time Lu Ziwen talked about Gu Ziyu's career issues. He felt that Chen Liangdong was too impatient. Gu Ziyu's skills were indeed irreplaceable. In addition to helping them solve crimes, he also had independent scientific research projects, making it clear that he would pursue a scientific research position. He thought it would be a pity to just take a scientific research position. If Gu Ziyu had not entered Qiuan but was in the Black Hawks, he would not have arranged for Gu Ziyu to take the scientific research path. He has a lot of potential for development. It's just that doing scientific research and technology also has an advantage. It is safe and does not have to be on the front line. At least he and Gu Ci will not be worried, which is also an advantage. However, if he is a person in a higher position, he will not make such a decision. Uncle said the same thing, Gu Ziyu said. Zhang Junlin had already told him this. Oh. Lu Ziwen said expressionlessly, what do you think? The current situation is pretty good. Gu Ziyu lowered his eyes. Dad, I'm going upstairs first. Lu Ziwen frowned. What was Ziyu hiding from him? Guzio went back upstairs and went to take a shower and rest. Guzii was very tired after taking a shower. After breakfast, she didn't say hello to Lu Ziwen and fell asleep. Mother and son had a tacit understanding and slept until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Lu Ziwen was so hungry that his chest pressed against his back. He was worried that someone was looking at his home from a distance. The curtains upstairs were open, so he didn't go up. There were some snacks downstairs, but he didn't like them, so he kept making tea. Drink, the more you drink, the hungrier you become. Mom, go and accompany him. I'll cook. Guzio volunteered to cook. Guzii came downstairs and told Lu Ziwen about the hospital. Chenrishi's recurrence of heart disease was due to the internal valve, which has been repaired. The director of the cardiac surgery department can also perform this operation, but Guzii is more familiar with it. It's easier for him. He can still be saved. Guzii stopped talking, just smiled, and said nothing. After dinner later, I'm going to go to the Jida headquarters. Do you have anything to say to my brother? He knows I'm here. Guzii shook his head. Your attitude represents Black Eagle's attitude. I have a sense of proportion. Ji-sun will handle it properly, Lu Ziwen said. Okay, Guzii was a little tired of these intrigues, but she was powerless to stop them. You couldn't control other people's thoughts. Lu Ziwen hugged her and patted her shoulder. Ziyasai, this matter has nothing to do with you, don't blame yourself. I'm just a little tired. Guzii hugged his waist. When I came back, I only had a very simple wish, revenge, to prevent tragedy from happening again, and to renew our relationship with you. You were ranked first in revenge, and it was obviously me. The most important thing is in a mess now. Why won't you let us go? It's hard to satisfy the desire, Lu Ziwen said. Even if I didn't have superpowers, Black Eagle and Jidao would still be in such a predicament. Guzii was shocked all over and felt a chill inexplicably. I'm afraid that something will happen to my brother again, Guzii said. I always have a bad feeling. The last time something happened to him, it was because Ji-sun was paranoid and imprisoned him. This time is different. Why do you feel this way? People can't fight against fate. Although the trajectory of life has changed, things that should happen will still happen, just like we can't stay together. My brother fell into the quagmire once, and I'm afraid it will happen again. Guzii on the way back, I have always thought that if there really is a destiny, then what should happen will always be unavoidable. You are thinking too much, Lu Ziwen comforted her. Both you and Zio have changed your destiny. Now we are reunited as a family. The people around you have become free and happy because of you. Why can't the curse be solved? Guzii asked sensitively. Lu Ziwen, have you always known how to solve it, but refused to tell me? Lu Ziwen was startled and avoided Guzi's gaze. No. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 496. Chapter 496, Come in a hurry, go in a hurry. The afternoon sun was just right and there was no one around. Lu Ziwen was basking in the sun in the atrium. Guzii and Guzio both had things to deal with. In order to prevent him from being bored, Guzii picked up a bunch of flowers and asked him to arrange them. He was very impressed by Lu Ziwen's aesthetics. Trust, Lu Ziwen was arranging flowers and thinking about things, a little absent-minded. He didn't even notice when Guzii came to his side. What are you thinking about, so fascinated? Lu Ziwen has arranged 3 vases of flowers, each with a different style and uniqueness, and Guzii likes them all. How do you want to break the situation? Lu Ziwen chuckled, and the two of them sat in the atrium to bask in the sun together. Gu Si had finished her work and happened to be free to chat with Lu Ziwen. Director Lu just called me and asked me if I knew your news. Li Zhang was about to collapse when he asked him about it recently. Leave him alone, Li Zhang will take care of it. Lu Ziwen looked at the blooming hydrangeas and looked at Gu Si. Xiao Si, I mean if something happens to me, you and Zia should live well. Gu Si was shocked, and the air around her seemed to freeze. You're so good, why did you say this? Did you have a premonition? Could it be that if we become disconnected like this, you will be killed? She stood up and backed away, not daring to get close to Lu Ziwen. I am using this as an analogy. You don't want to be a soldier, so be good. I don't like this metaphor. Are you hiding something from me? Gu Si frowned. Lu Ziwen, you rely on your memory and superpowers to have the final say in everything. Isn't that right? Fair. Lu Ziwen stood up and walked towards her, but Gu Si kept backing away. Don't come over here. Lu Ziwen teleported to her side and hugged her. Gu Si had no way to escape and could only be imprisoned in his arms. She struggled violently, and those heart-wrenching memories were awakened again. She had been there for a long time. After not thinking about those sad past events for a long time, Lu Ziwen hugged her hard and said, Xiao Si, calm down. I said the wrong thing. Don't be sad. I'm fine and nothing will happen to me. Gu Si finally calmed down despite his tireless promise, looked at him with red eyes, and suddenly slapped Lu Ziwen on the shoulder, not wanting to hit him too hard. Are you trying to scare me? I was wrong. Lu Ziwen begged for mercy and held her fist. Like the third young master who grew up with her childhood sweetheart, he grabbed her wrist and hit him in the face. You can hit him as much as you want, and I will hit him. Don't fight back. Gu Si was so amused by his ungrateful appearance that she couldn't even lose her temper. Why do you want to scare me? The situation has been a little strange recently. Lu Ziwen held her hand and sat next to her. The rain is coming. I haven't felt this way for a long time. That kind of imminent crisis. Before the accident happened in his last life, he had also felt this kind of crisis. It was a very strong intuition. Something was going to happen to her, something was going to happen to them. He tried his best to turn the tide and avoid the tragedy, but it was still unavoidable. Nothing will happen to our family again, Gu Si said. I don't know why there is a chance to do it again, but since fate has given me a chance, it will not have the same ending. I will definitely find a way to break the situation. But you, Lu Ziwen, you have never been very active in finding a way to solve the problem, you just accepted your fate naturally. Lu Ziwen avoided Gu Si's gaze. He looked at the exposed skylight on the roof. The sunshine was so beautiful. Lu Ziwen said, I keep looking for ways to break the situation. Over the years, I have expected and been disappointed countless times. So, I compromised with my fate, and I still tried my best to find a way, but I knew it was a dead end. Gu Si shook her head gently. No, Lu Ziwen, you are not this kind of person. You are a person who is stepped on by fate and still fights hard. Even if the disappointment over the years makes you compromise, you should not accept our fate so obediently. Outside the door, there was the sound of a car. Gu Si frowned. Lu Ziwen's cell phone also rang. Ji Xian called. Zhang Junlin came to Lanshan Villa. Lu Ziwen and Gu Si looked at each other. Lu Ziwen returned to the darkroom and closed the door. Gu Zia was processing the declassified documents sent by Chen Liangdong. He was not surprised to see Zhang Junlin. Zhang Junlin often came to Lanshan Villa. Gu Si welcomed him out. Zhang Junlin brought some fruits and fresh steaks. Gu Zia likes to eat steak. The old man specially ordered it to be flown in. It is still very fresh. Brother, just tell me and I will go home and get it. You are so busy, why should you make a trip? I've been too busy lately. I haven't seen you for a long time. Where is Ziyu? Zhang Junlin moved the things in and helped her put them in the refrigerator. Gu Si said, he is busy upstairs. Zhang Junlin nodded, and Gu Si asked with some anxiety, Xiu said, you and Chen Liangdong met, how was the conversation? Zhang Junlin was more distressed than anyone else when he revealed such a big thing. Is Lu Ziwen here with you? Zhang Junlin asked straight to the point, with a serious face, and his eyes were full of intimidation as if they could see through people's hearts. He is a man who is not angry and assertive, and the coercion of those in power is frightening. Gu Si was startled when Lu Ziwen's voice came from downstairs, don't embarrass her, I asked her to hide it from you. Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen looked at each other and said to Gu Si, don't come down. Lu Ziwen and I have something to discuss. Oh. Zhang Junlin went downstairs, and Gu Si also went down to the first floor. Zhang Junlin and Lu Ziwen entered the darkroom and closed the door. Gu Si scratched her heart and lungs as to what on earth they were going to talk about and avoided her. How did brother know that Lu Ziwen was at her house? After finishing work, Gu Ziu also ran out and asked, what are they plotting? What kind of conspiracy? Let's talk about things, Gu Si said. Gu Ziu wanted to eavesdrop, but Gu Si stopped him and said, be careful, uncle will beat you up. My uncle and I are united, why did you beat me? As soon as Gu Ziu finished speaking, Zhang Junlin came out, his expression unchanged. Gu Si and Gu Ziu couldn't tell whether he was happy or unhappy. Gu Ziu didn't care at all. Uncle, how do you know Dad is here? If his whereabouts were really unknown, would you be so at ease and recuperate at home every day? Zhang Junlin just wanted to see through it. If such a big thing hadn't happened last night, he wouldn't have wanted to find Lu Ziwen. Gu Ziu was very sensitive, you come to see Dad, should I tell the old man? Zhang Junlin looked at Gu Ziu calmly and said calmly, whatever. Gu Ziu. Zhang Junlin said calmly, I'm leaving first, Xiaosai, please be safe. If you are willing, let Qin Wan come and stay. Gu Si rarely enjoyed the reunion of a family of three and didn't want to be disturbed. Brother, Ziu and I can handle it, don't worry. Okay, then I'm leaving. Chang Junlin came in a hurry and left in a hurry, staying for less than 20 minutes. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 497. Chapter 497 Game within a game. As soon as Zhang Junlin left, Gu Si hurriedly came down. Just as Lu Ziwen also came out of the darkroom, Gu Si asked anxiously, what did brother say to you? I didn't say anything, just some official questions, asking me what my plans are. Lu Ziwen's face was very calm. If this is all, why do you avoid us? Gu Ziu asked. Gu Si also had this idea. Zhang Junlin specifically asked Gu Si not to go down. She couldn't hear anything. Lu Ziwen's eyes were pure and clean, it's true, I didn't lie to you. Gu Si and Gu Ziu looked at each other and did not ask any more questions. Rong Li was still pretending to trace the whereabouts of Lu Ziwen and did not let up. Lu Ziwen was absolutely not allowed to show up. Chen Lianzhu had such a powerful voice in the research institute, but Lu Ziwen, if he keeps his promise and goes to the research institute again, he is afraid that it will be really difficult to get out of the whole body. His superpower does need an explanation. Otherwise, it will be criticized by the public and it will bring him a steady stream of troubles. Chang Junlin sent people to check for evidence of Chen Lianzhu's crime. Although he had a good reputation and was well known for setting up the trap, he couldn't believe that Chen Lianzhu had not found any evidence of his crime after so many years. He must repay this blood debt to Chen Lianzhu. Master, Mr. Zhang is here. Zhang Qiang knocked on the door in the study. Zhang Junlin frowned. There was an old man in charge of the house, so he didn't have to go down. However, Zhang Qiang said, he wants to see you by name. Mr. Zhang is very measured. He will not rush upstairs without Zhang Junlin's consent. If Zhang Junlin doesn't see him, the old lady and the old man are at home, and it is difficult for him to break in. He is a high-ranking official, and neither is the Zhang family grandfather. A vegetarian, he has been making waves in the financial world all his life. Now he is raising fish and flowers, looking at the idle clouds and wild cranes, but he is not someone to be trifled with. This is why Zhang Junlin controls the Ji-Dao, and Chen Lianzhi dare not touch him easily. He has to find a reasonable evidence or excuse. The Zhang family has accumulated it from generation to generation. It is like the fate of a family. The grandfather must first establish a foothold in the village before his son can go to the county to study. The son must establish a foothold in the county before the grandson can go to the first-tier cities. The grandson must establish a foothold before the great-grandson can have a broader world. The family that has been standing for hundreds of years can stand firm. If you don't fail, you have your own connections and heritage. The old man had a great chat with Mr. Zhang, and even took him to admire his new phalaenopsis, which was very well raised and very precious. When talking about flowers and plants, Mr. Zhang was obviously a little anxious, but the old man took him slowly and walked around the greenhouse. Zhang Junlin still came downstairs. He was in a bad mood recently, and his family members could see it if they had eyes. As a result, none of them dared to say anything they wanted to say about Ji Suan. It's not that the elders are really afraid of him, they just don't want to cause trouble for him in this troubled time. When the old man saw him coming downstairs, he said cheerfully, "Come here, Junlin. I'll go shopping with your grandpa Zhang. Grandpa is a little thirsty. Go have a cup of tea. Don't neglect it." "I know, Grandpa," Zhang Junlin nodded. After his grandfather disappeared, Zhang Junlin said, "Grandpa Zhang, if you have anything to do, send someone to tell me. I will come to the door in person. How can I have the nerve to ask you to come to this junior in person?" Lao Zhang said, "Our two families are close to each other, so I can move around as much as possible." "Junlin, you are checking up on Chen Lianzhi, right?" Grandpa Zhang is very well informed. Less than 12 hours after his order was issued, Mr. Zhang received the news. "Can't check." "Why?" "This is an order," Mr. Zhang frowned, "you may not be able to find anything. When he became famous, you were not born yet. There are some things that cannot be made up for by being smart. This time something happened to Ji-Dao, we are all very worried. Regrettably, whether he did it intentionally or unintentionally, it is a foregone conclusion and someone will be responsible for it, so you don't have to look into it further." Zhang Junlin sneered, "Just let it go so lightly. For so many years, he has been living in the Chen family's old house. Chen Yang is a well-behaved man. His wife's family's position in the financial industry is also deeply rooted. There is nothing to criticize. What you can find is some insider trading, which is not painful. Chen Liangdong and he is a brother from the same mother. If something happens to him, Chen Liangdong will also be implicated, and all the roads you have paved for Guziu will be in vain." Mr. Zhang said, "If you don't care about these, the Chen family will be around. It's a big clan, and you're not offending just one person. Junlin, you've been roasted on the fire, don't make any more enemies for yourself. It's different from 5 years ago when you were hiding behind your back." Zhang Junlin looked at Mr. Zhang quietly, and Mr. Zhang said, "Our two families are family friends and will not harm you. Junlin, the Jida is very popular, but you are a target. You really can't investigate Chen Lianzhi's affairs anymore." Zhang Junlin is not that naive and would not tell Mr. Zhang that if Chen Lianzhi is innocent, he will not be afraid of investigation. Since Mr. Zhang is old, he knows the importance. It is difficult for an individual to compete with the family. If he really wants to have his own way, he has to make a bet and risk the fate of the entire family. If he wins, the Zhang family will be in the sky and prominent enough. If he loses, the family may never recover or disappear. It's not whether he dares or not, but whether he can. Zhang Lao's words have been mentioned, and he knows that Zhang Junlin has listened. After all, he is not a 20-year-old passionate boy. He will have weighing and concerns, but Zhang Junlin must give this tone. Junlin, finance is your territory. You can't deal with it, but you can deal with others, Mr. Zhang said meaningfully, just pay attention to the size and don't cross the line. Zhang Junlin also thought of it. He immediately wanted to touch Chen Lianzhi's wife family. That was what he was best at. They all hung out in his circle. Chen Lianzhi said it in the research institute. He is also consistent in the entire financial circle. But he still wanted Chen Lianzhi to feel the pain, so he did not choose his wife's family. I know. Zhang Junlin took a deep breath. Grandpa Zhang, I know these are your words from the bottom of my heart. I listened to them. I know what to do, but I want an accurate word. No one wants me to continue to work in the extreme. Does the Tao rule? Since he was asked about the idea, Mr. Zhang said, this is Chen Lianzhi's idea, not mine, and he and I are not in the same faction. I think it is safest for you to control the Yakuza, or disband, like an outsourced project. I can only choose one of the two. If it is disbanded, it will be a pity for the connections established over the years. No one will be willing to part with you. If we treat you as an outsourced project, there will be risks. We are afraid of the personnel being messed up and the news will be leaked. 5 years ago, we discussed come and discuss, but there will be no result. No matter what you do, some people will be dissatisfied. If you don't touch my cake, you will touch other people's jobs. There will always be people who are dissatisfied, so just have a clear conscience. I had an argument with someone today and I'm in a bad mood. The update is late. I'm not sure if it will be updated tonight, so you can wait until tomorrow morning. Take a break for now. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 498. Chapter 498 Xiao Beiwa's acting skills. Zhang Junlin sent Mr. Zhang out, thoughtfully. He wouldn't believe all Mr. Zhang's words, but one thing was right. He couldn't gamble with the fate of Jidao, which was the future and destiny of many people. They are controlled by others only temporarily, not forever. There is ample time. The cell phone rang. It was Zhang Qiang's cell phone. After hearing the news, his expression changed drastically. Master, it's bad, Qin Wan got into trouble. She hit Chen Lianzhi's car. What? Zhang Junlin pinched his eyebrows and called north. Nonsense. On the central street, Qin Wan's car hit Chen Lianzhi's car and knocked him over. Just before the traffic light, the car overturned and hit the guardrail. Fortunately, Chen Lianzhi was wearing a seat belt in the back seat and injured his hand. The guards were stunned, being knocked over in front of everyone. They almost thought it was an attack or assassination. After all, this had never happened before, at least no one would come to assassinate Chen Lianzhi. Who would have thought that Qin Wan got out of the car in a panic? Her voice was artificial, and she cried so hard, I'm sorry, are you okay? I was nervous and used the accelerator as the brake. Everybody. They didn't know Qin Wan. After all, she didn't always follow Zhang Junlin. Qin Wan was dressed up in a gentle and lovely way, with a small white skirt and a small round bag. I felt pity for her, but she looked like she would fall down when the wind blew. People had seen that many times. He would not be too suspicious if he hired a female driver as a road killer. It was indeed a traffic light just now, and she didn't stop the car and hit her immediately. Qin Wan cried and said, I was anxious, my car seemed to have broken down, and I didn't know what to do. It was a mistake to be anxious. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I will pay for the medical expenses. The front of her own car was dented, and the impact was so severe that she showed no mercy. It's really pitiful to cry. The ambulance and the police car both came. Chen Lianjie had a special status and arrived very quickly. Qin Wan cried silently beside him and apologized to Chen Lianjie continuously. He was so sincere that the onlookers felt extremely pitiful. Chen Lianjie had a broken hand and was rushed to the hospital. Qin Wan wiped away tears while regretting that he was careless and the impact was too light. It was just a fracture. It might as well be a broken leg, but why was it his hand? It was easier for him. Chen Liangdong was nearby and came over after hearing the news. After all, it was his brother, but when he saw it was Qin Wan, Chen Liangdong almost stopped breathing and Gu Ziyu was also surprised. This is so embarrassing. Qin Wanfan's face looks like a pretty girl, and she walks swayingly. She is so soft and frail that it makes Gu Ziyu's eyes hurt. Have you played this role before? Don't let her go, check. Chen Lianjie gritted his teeth. He was knocked over by someone, not to mention how angry he was, and his hand was still in severe pain. He didn't forget to tell Chen Liangdong before getting into the ambulance. I see. The traffic policeman first tested him for drunk driving. Qin Wan had not drank. When he saw his ID card and military officer's certificate, the traffic policeman was stunned. He was a serious military officer. Chen Liangdong said, "Leave it to us." "Okay, I'll hand it over to you then." Chen Liangdong nodded, went through the handover procedures, and went back to give Qin Wan a drug test. She didn't drink and drive, and she didn't take drugs. Chen Liangdong knew that she did it on purpose. None of Chen Lianjie's people knew her, but they were too familiar with her. Gu Ziyu pulled her aside and lowered his voice and said, "Are you too arrogant? Don't accuse me wrongly. I'm used to driving motorcycles, not cars. If I accidentally make a mistake, I'm not careful." Qin Wan wiped her red and swollen eyes. It was rare to wear a waist-cinching skirt, and her small waist twisted. There are many kinds of twists and turns. Gu Ziyu. Chen Liangdong came over with the report. Qin Wan said with a smile, "Bureau Chen, I didn't drink or take drugs, so I accidentally hit him. I will pay for it. I will pay for his medical expenses lost. This is indeed not a crime, and it cannot arrest her. She is determined." The vehicle inspection report also came out. It was indeed a problem with the brakes, so she drove a car with a problem with the brakes and wandered on the road. She was obviously waiting for Chen Lianjie on purpose. Whether it's intentional or intentional, you know it in your heart. Qin Wan stroked her hair and said slowly, "When handling a case, rely on evidence. Don't talk nonsense without evidence. I haven't broken any laws. No one has ever made a mistake while busy. If you think I intentionally hurt someone, go investigate and talk about the evidence. I happened to pass by today, and my car broke down." Qin Wan has followed Zhang Junlin for so many years. She is like a loach, jumping on the gray edge. She is confident and confident. Since she came, she has been fully prepared. If nothing can be found, Zhang Junlin must have helped her deal with the aftermath. She didn't even have any worries. Chen Liangdong didn't agree with her style of doing things, not because she was bumping into Chen Lianjie. "Qin Wan, this is not the way to solve things. You are creating problems. Impulsiveness will destroy Zhang Junlin's hard work and yours in the future. When we work here, we must follow the rules, be cautious in everything, and not fall into anyone's hands. It was not easy for Zhang Junlin to put on this skin for you back then. Don't take it off yourself. The image and honor of a great warrior, don't tarnish it. Bureau Chen, don't spit on people, tell us the evidence," Qin Wan said in a brisk tone, spreading her hands, bitching, "even if it's an accident, I don't want it." Gu Ziyu. "Aren't you afraid of causing trouble to Zhang Junlin?" Chen Liangdong asked. "This is my business alone, don't go too far. You were trained by him, and everything you did was under his instruction, Do you understand? Chen Liangdong said earnestly, you can only do things for yourself, and there is no way to clear his suspicion. This is a troubled time, and he still has to worry about your affairs. You are creating problems for him, not solving them. Revenge is only a temporary pleasure. In this life, if you can't even have fun for a while, what else do you want? Qin Wan said, let me say it again, this is a traffic accident, an accident. There are so many traffic accidents every day, why can't I be allowed to accidentally hit it, people? This is what happens when a scholar encounters a soldier. There is no reason to explain. You go. Chen Liangdong had no choice but to say everything he needed to say. Dr. North was waiting for her outside the Kuoan building. Qin Wan came out with a fairy spirit. Seeing North, she still felt a little guilty, especially because North's expression was sour. Qin Wan got in the car obediently and asked, Mom, why are you here? Who told you to go your own way and hit someone? It's not like he was killed, Qin Wan said calmly, my companion is lying in a coffin, sleeping underground. He just suffered a broken hand, which is considered minor. If I hadn't been afraid of causing trouble to the owner, I would have killed him. You also knew that the master would be implicated. Dr. North was so angry that he lowered his temper and asked, who handled it, Chen Liangdong? What did he say to you? I didn't say anything, just gave me a lesson so that I wouldn't stain my green skin. Don't meet him. Dr. North stepped on the accelerator and took her home. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 499. Chapter 499, Lingering Memories. After Chen Lianju had the operation, he asked Chen Liangdong about the situation of the perpetrator. Chen Liangdong told the truth that the other person was careless and accidentally hit the accident. He was not drunk driving or taking drugs. You let him go, didn't you check his background? We investigated, brother. She was really careless. It turned out that she had been driving a motorcycle. This is her first time driving a car. She is not familiar with it, and the brakes are broken. She was nervous and bumped into you. Chen Liangdong asked, brother, how is your hand? Is it important? I will go to the hospital to see you after get off work. Is she really okay? Yes, Chen Liangdong lied bravely. He was also a sandwich biscuit, sandwiched between his eldest brother and the Jida. Qin Wan made it clear that he wanted to take revenge and did not get Zhang Junlin's permission. Zhang Junlin had already called and said so. His intention was very clear. Although he didn't instruct him, he recognized what Qin Wan did. Chen Liangdong couldn't let Zhang Junlin really conflict with Chen Lianju again. They were already enemies. If the conflict continued, it would be very bad and a lot of work would not be progressed. Zhang Junlin also promised that there would not be another conflict and he would take good care of it. Qin Wan. As for Qin Wan, he heard Gu Ziu say that she did go her own way, and Zhang Junlin sometimes couldn't control her. She liked to take the wrong approach when doing things without any scruples. Fortunately, it was a very sharp knife. Zhang Junlin was the scabbard can be controlled. But he never expected that Qin Wan would be so bold as to hit Chen Lianju's car. If this was a special trip, something big would happen. Qin Wan stood in front of Zhang Junlin, obedient and docile, still looking like a little white flower, bravely admitting his mistake. Master, I was wrong, you can confiscate an apartment from me. This is the most sincere way she can admit her mistake. Dr. North. Who asked you to bump into Chen Lianju? If you really bump into someone, what are you going to do? I am measured. What sense of propriety do you have? The car doesn't have eyes, and it's on the side of the road. There's a lot of traffic, and people are not as good as God. How dare you just hit him? He is surrounded by security guards with live ammunition. He treats you as an enemy and shoots you to fight back or not to fight back. If you fight back, do you still need your military uniform? If you don't fight back, will you be shot to death in a hurry? Zhang Junlin's face turned pale. One thing happened after another, and Qin Qin couldn't fight back. Wang Zhen wants to knock Chen Lianzhu out of trouble. Even if they are reasonable, they will turn into rudeness. Chen Lianzhu can ruin Qin Wan's future for any reason. She is weak and pity is of no use at all. Qin Wan knew that he was wrong, but he still insisted on going his own way and vented a bad breath, so he was prepared to be punished by Zhang Junlin. He obeyed the instructions obediently and did not talk back. Zhang Junlin knew Qin Wan's temper and it was useless to talk more. You take a temporary vacation, go to tea, art and piano classes, study hard, and cultivate yourself. Qin Wan was stunned. Master, I was at fault. You can confiscate my house, but you can't kill me slowly. If you go to learn tea, art and piano, won't you kill me? Zhang Junlin looked at her expressionlessly, and Qin Wan looked at Dr. North. Dr. North was helpless. Zhang Junlin made the decision. Who dared to comment? Qin Wan reluctantly agreed. It's really God who wants to kill her. She hates tea, art and the piano the most, and she has no patience at all because she can sit there for hours at a time. Zhang Junlin's punishment is much more effective than confiscating the house. Qin Wan's hung would have been better off paralyzed aside. Mom, you don't even want to beg for mercy. What are you asking for? There have been so many things going on recently, and you are still causing trouble. When Zhang Junlin left, Qin Wan punched sandbags bitterly to vent his anger. If I had known, I would have reversed the car, ran over him again, and broken one of his legs. You really need to temper your temper. Master is right. You have to pay attention to your image when you put on the military uniform. Everything you say and do represents the honor and dignity of the motherland. You can't act recklessly. This time you have indeed committed a big taboo. Dr. North also rarely scolded her. Take a good vacation to cultivate yourself. Qin Wan was unhappy. If I had known earlier, I would not have joined the establishment. I would have been more comfortable as a freelance agent. What are you talking about? Dr. North said with a chuckle. There is a popular saying on the internet recently, the end of the universe is the establishment. Qin Wan was holding a cigar in his mouth, feeling aggrieved. The comrades who died this time were some of Qin Wan's very good friends. They had several years of experience as partners and had a very good understanding. In their free time, they would go outing and play together. It was rare for her temperament to match hers. She had a close friendship with someone, but she unexpectedly died because of Chen Lianzhu. The most important thing was that she was supposed to go on this mission. If her old injury hadn't recurred, her friends would not have replaced her. When Qin Wan heard the news of her death, it took a long time for Qin Wan to recover. Angry, hateful, and frustrated. They can't investigate the culprit, even if their master is in a high position. When Gu Xi and Lu Ziwen heard what Gu Ziu said about Qin Wan's collision, they both felt that it was outrageous. This temper was too arrogant, and Gu Ziu felt tired. One day Chen Lianzhu will find out, and then there will be a good show. Being forced to learn tea, art and piano would be too much torture for Qin Wan. This was more uncomfortable for Qin Wan than torture. Deserve it, Lu Ziwen had no sympathy at all. If Jisun and Rongli had made such a mistake, he would have whipped them a few times and sent them to study without any pain. They were lucky. How is Chen Lianzhu injured? The broken arm is nothing serious. He is still very tenacious. He went to work even though he was injured and didn't even take a day off. The matter at the institute has not been resolved yet, so how could he take a vacation? The feud between him and his uncle has been completely settled, and he doesn't know how to resolve it. Lu Ziwen said calmly, "Don't worry, he will take the initiative to invite Zhang Junlin to dinner in a few days." No way. Guzio still knew him somewhat. Chen Lianjie has a different personality from the old man. He is very arbitrary. He will not admit his mistakes. If he takes the initiative to find his uncle, isn't that asking for mercy? "Kid, you are still young, study hard." Lu Ziwen smiled and said nothing. "Oh, am I not a third grader? I am not a child," Guzio reminded him expressionlessly. Lu Ziwen was too lazy to pay attention to him. Guxi's equipment also arrived. People from the hospital brought it to her and helped her carry it. Lu Ziwen avoided them first and went upstairs to hide. The transportation, assembly, and operation of the machine were not easy to solve. Wait until the debugging is completed. 4 hours had passed, and Guxi asked them to stay at home for dinner, but her colleagues politely refused. Guxi went upstairs to look for Lu Ziwen, but he was not in the guest room. Guzio was alone in the study and did not see Lu Ziwen. When she returned to the master bedroom, she saw Lu Ziwen lying on her bed, sleeping soundly under a thin quilt. Lu Ziwen had lived here for a while, and this was the first time he came to Guxi's master bedroom. Guxi stood at the door and looked at him quietly, as if she was back when they were newly married. Lu Ziwen had never been here before, so he didn't know that Guxi's master bedroom was decorated according to their master bedroom in the previous life. The curtains, cabinets, bedside tables, leisure sofas, curtains, and even the bedding, Guxi deliberately found them exactly the same. The layout of Lanshan Villa has been like this since Guxi moved there, as if they were still newlyweds. This is her and Lu Ziwen's wedding room. When she was decorating her new home, she had an extravagant hope. She was extremely ill at that time and was very stubborn. She wished she could take Lu Ziwen through time and go back to 5 years later. They were in love with each other and would never leave each other. She would occasionally have hallucinations, so she needed an environment that puts her at ease. But the facts are very contradictory, and this is not an environment that makes her feel at ease. Although there is Lu Ziwen and Guzio, in such a familiar environment, there will be many very painful memories for her and Guzio. So she was immersed in the happy memories with Lu Ziwen like a masochist, and at the same time she was trapped by the dark years between her and Guzio, so she always had nightmares at night, and her condition never got better. Even Dr. North didn't know the root cause. Since she was cured, she has become accustomed to the decoration of the bedroom and has not changed it, so when she saw Lu Ziwen lying on the familiar master bed, Guxi felt a little hot. Those secrets, like the lingering memories hidden in the deepest part of my heart, quietly surfaced. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 500. Chapter 500. A little separation is better than a wedding. In the gentle breeze, Guxi sat by the bed and looked at the sleeping Lu Ziwen. During the time she was imprisoned, she could only see Lu Ziwen's sleeping face from the surveillance camera. Now she can finally see his sleeping face so close at hand. And can touch his warm face. Guxi looked at his light-colored lips. Lu Ziwen's temperament could not be called gentle, but he rarely lost his temper with her. His lips were much softer than his own. After getting married, she liked sleeping in his arms very much. She could touch his lips. During the wedding period, she was still a little reserved. Every time she slept next to him, she would lie down neatly and not dare to move. But she was confused at night and always used to roll into his arms. She suffered from cold syndrome in prison, and her limbs were extremely cold in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. She naturally looked for heat sources when sleeping. Lu Ziwen liked to stick to her legs to keep her warm. When she was in love, she didn't dare to face him unscrupulously, but she began to like to lie on her side in his arms, suppressing the scars on her face, not wanting him to see her ugly face. Inferior self-esteem and pain. He seemed to be able to see through her thoughts, but he never said anything. He always kissed her ears and soothed her fears. When she was first released from prison, she was in a state of panic. All her sense of security came from this person who was far from gentle, but very strong man. Gu Si leaned down and kissed his lips. It was like many years ago when he had a rest in the afternoon and she kissed him as a prank. All the time stayed in the beautiful moments. They had never parted or cursed. They are just an ordinary, loving couple. His lips were warm and gentle. Gu Si just tasted them briefly. When she was about to leave, Lu Ziwen grabbed her waist with one hand and pulled her towards him. He opened his eyes and looked at her teasingly, with that gentle affection in his eyes. His eyes seemed to be bewitching, making Gu Si's heart beat wildly and her face turn red. "Let me go." Lu Ziwen chuckled, and with a little force, he picked her up, pressed her on the bed, and blocked her lips. A prairie fire was blown by the wind and spread all over the mountains and fields, burning up. By the time Gu Si reacted, her collarbone was already dotted with red plum blossoms. He had lifted up her clothes, and his warm hands were caressing her waistline. Goosebumps rose all over Gu Si's body. "Xiu is next door," she rejected him softly. In fact, she had no strength at all to shake Lu Ziwen's will. In their hearts, they had always been husband and wife and belonged to each other. But the door next door rang. Gu Xiu stretched and yawned. Gu Si could hear his footsteps clearly. "Mom, what's there to eat in the refrigerator?" Children interrupted a room of love in a shocking way. Lu Ziwen was dissatisfied with his desire and clicked his tongue. "The child is really troublesome." Big light bulb. Gu Si suppressed a smile. It was rare to see him with such a childish side, like the third young master back then. She held his face and rubbed it, feeling sour and gentle. "You are so cute." Lu Ziwen. The word cute is definitely used to describe him, isn't it, to describe Gu Xiu? Gu Xiu didn't hear Gu Si's answer. He found a bottle of yogurt in the refrigerator and went downstairs to look for Lu Ziwen. He didn't see Lu Ziwen either. "Dad." The straight man Gu Xiu didn't know how to be an invisible person. After shouting 3 times, Lu Ziwen appeared at the railing on the second floor. "What are you calling, hun?" Gu Xiu was surprised. "The doctors have left, why are you still upstairs?" "Sleep," Lu Ziwen said angrily, and took the elevator and went directly to the second floor. Gu Xiu had finished his work and was just in time to relax and play chess with Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen said, "Zhang Junlin ordered Qin Wan to learn piano and tea art. Do you want to follow him and learn tea art?" "I know the piano and tea art." Gu Xiu was sensitive to the fact that his father wanted to kick him out of the house, and said a little speechlessly, "Dad, you really don't know the blessings in the world. You can do this when I am at home. Talk to me comfortably, otherwise, you will be hurt to death when your mother comes near you, and you are thinking about making me angry every day. Shouldn't you be trying to please me?" "How do you want me to please you?" Lu Ziwen asked. "For example, what did your uncle say to you?" "Why didn't you ask Zhang Junlin to go?" Lu Ziwen asked. "How dare I?" Gu Xiu clicked his tongue. "Uncle is not easy to mess with." "Am I easy to mess with?" Lu Ziwen looked at Gu Xiu a little confused. In Gu Xiu's heart, he can be easily messed with. Gu Xiu said, "I am my biological son, that's why I am so confident." Lu Ziwen. He looked at the sullen boy with mixed emotions. He was really grateful to Chen Liangdong for teaching Gu Xiu so well. Both he and Gu Si were absent from Gu Xiu's childhood. Even in this life, Chen Liangdong and Gu Xiu, they spent more time with each other than with him. Bureau Chen's words, deeds, and deeds made Gu Xiu completely transformed. For this reason, if Chen Liangdong asked for anything, he would not refuse. "Which of you will draw the bone marrow first?" Gu Si asked with a smile while leaning on the railing. Gu Xiu's eyes widened and he pointed at Lu Ziwen. he comes first, I'll wait and see. I said, it really doesn't hurt with the anesthesia. I don't believe it, Guzio said, the doctor said it doesn't hurt, which is different from me feeling that it doesn't hurt. Okay, I'll do it first. Luziwan had already had his bone marrow extracted, so there was no need to delay it any longer. Guzio looked at him lying on the operating table and raised his back. I disinfected him and gave him anesthesia. He looked back at Guzio, are you sure? Want to see? Need. Okay, don't talk then. Okay, Mom. Guzio saw Luziwan doing a puncture. Seeing such a thick needle piercing his bones and starting to extract the bone marrow, Guzio felt a numbness in his back. It's really scary. He checked the video himself, but was not shocked by what he saw with his own eyes. So this is bone marrow. I completed the puncture neatly and helped Luziwan to rest next to him. When I saw Luziwan's face was pale and covered with cold sweat, he couldn't help but asked with concern, Dad, how are you? It's okay, Luziwan said with a smile, it's your turn. Luziwan looked so angry that Guzio became suspicious. His mother clearly said it didn't hurt, but his father looked like he was going to die. It hurt a little when the anesthesia was given, but Guzio could tolerate the pain very well and didn't feel it. What? During the puncture, it really didn't hurt much. I would ask him how he felt, and Guzio said, it doesn't hurt. I kissed his forehead, you are awesome. Guzio's ears turned red. After he was 8 years old, his mother never kissed him. Luziwan raised his eyebrows, why didn't he get a kiss? The puncture of father and son was over in less than an hour, and the anesthesia had not even worn off. Both father and son were slumped on the sofa, lying dead. Guzio said, I know, you are scaring me on purpose. Why do I scare you? You pretended to be angry to scare me. End of this chapter.